Hey guys, Elizabeth, the curly-haired country gal here. Now we're at about the middle of June now, but last month I was able to go from this to this to this. So I'm going to show you what was going on. Let's do this thing. So behind me right now is the Freedom Hive. I'm going to give them a respectable distance. It was a hot one today, and they are currently bearding, which is kind of neat to see. That's the first time I've seen that, because again, this is my first year and everything's new. But today I'm going to tell you about the pulley system that I created that I was able to use to bring home our first caught swarm and how transferring it into the umbrella hive went. Now, I really should have worn my hair up because it is still hot and sticky, but here we are. So last month I showed you the pulley system that I designed in order to safely get swarm traps, heavy swarm traps with bees in them, out of a tree if you need to put it up high. Now, not everybody needs to put their swarm traps 10 feet up, and if you don't, more power to you. But this year I'm doing everything by the book because it's my first year. And I have 5 awesome friends from church who agreed to have swarm traps up at their homes, in addition to the one that we have here at our home, because I have 6 swarm traps. So I got a message. I got the message I had been hoping for from our friend John, and he let me know, this was on April 27th, he let me know there were some scouts checking out the toucan swarm trap, which we painted, and you can check out the video for how the kids and I were able to all work on that together. But anyway, the toucan swarm trap was at his place, and he sent me a message saying, hey, I'm seeing some activity. So it was a week and a half later, on May 7th, that we went ahead and picked it up. Now, we arrived at about 7:45. That was a little later than I had hoped because sunset was supposed to be around 8. I had hoped to give myself half an hour, but with kids and loading up the truck, it just didn't happen. But we got there, it was already starting to get dark. Now, the idea with the pulley system, which of course you can check out the video on, was to drill a hole and screw in a big hook, a big J hook, to then put the pulleys onto. But in this case, it just so happened that immediately above the swarm trap, which you can't quite see here, there actually was a branch sticking out. So we were able to just go ahead and cut a piece of rope and just tie it around the branch with the pulley on it and put the pulley on it instead of drilling a hole and screwing the hook into the tree, which made things even easier. Now, again, as you can see here, we made this into a 3-man operation, but it didn't need to be a 3-man operation. John was super kind and interested in helping us, so he was able to loosen the straps for me. And I gave him the call. Yeah. John, loosen the straps! And he did. And then, of course, my husband Jared was with us, with me to help get it down as well. But again, I designed this so that it could be a 1-man operation. It just would take a little bit more finesse, I suppose. So I loved having the help. Now, where I'm starting out here, the harness is already on the swarm trap. And again, it's a 3-sided apparatus, I guess, and we just were able to pull up the last pulley through the ratchet strap so that it didn't get tangled and go ahead and hook it on. And I made sure to put it on all 4 sides, unlike my demo on the tree at our home where things got kind of twisted, and I'm thankful that nothing fell and crashed to the ground. Now, it may look a little deceptive because of how stinking tall John is, but we were 10 feet up in the air, so he makes it look like we were barely off the ground, but I was still taking my time getting up the ladder because it seemed pretty high. So, of course, a very important first step was that John went ahead and closed the entrance to the hive, and then we were able to get it hooked up and slowly lower it down. So, guys, this was so easy. Jared, my husband, carefully lowered it to the ground, nice and slowly. Now, the funny thing was that this is my first time catching bees. I was very meticulous, I guess, on the way home about Jared driving very, very slowly. And so it was funny because we got about like 1/8 of a mile, a few hundred yards down the road, and I said, Jared, do you want me to drive? And he said, yeah, I think that would be better. So I went ahead and drove home so that he didn't have to worry about me freaking out about the speed. So we made a trip that normally takes about 12 minutes to get home into a trip that took about 45 minutes. The things you do for your bees. So we carefully got it down, and Jared carefully transported it to the back of our truck. Now, I had brought with us the sailboat swarm trap, and we immediately put that one back up because, again, when swarms come to a hive, they release a certain pheromone that's pretty strong, I guess, and it invites, or it just signals to bees around that this was a good place to find a home. I'm a little fuzzy on the specifics of that, but I keep hearing that if you catch a swarm, you just got to put another swarm trap up in the same location, so we did that. Now, we're mid-June now, and there haven't been any sightings of any new bees there or at the other swarm trap where we caught bees, but that's okay. That's actually kind of nice because I have the 4 hives, the 4 colonies that we were able to either catch or buy or convert from Langstroth, and I don't have any other hives painted, so I hope to complete this year with 5 hives, with 5 colonies, which I think is going to be possible, but it's good that I'm not swimming in swarms. Now, for some reason, this swarm trap that we put up in its place was super easy to level. We just brought the block back up that we had used previously, and it took like 0 time at all. Now, the thing that I'm excited to try next year to make this whole process even easier is to go ahead and use the cleat system that I keep hearing about. And I know Monty, the Suburban Sodbuster, and many others in the Layens group have recommended it. And it sounds like you secure a piece of wood to the tree that has an angle like this, and then you make a piece of wood to secure to the swarm trap that kind of fits over it like this. And so you just get up on your ladder and you just hook it on basically onto those pieces of wood. You hook the pieces of wood together and then you're good to go. You already know it's level, bam. So that's an awesome thing that I'm gonna do next year, Lord willing. And of course, with the new hive that we put up, the very important step that you don't want to forget is to open the door, which John or Jared or somebody did at some point. So we got it loaded up into the truck, being very careful to make the frames parallel to the road. Now this was funny too, because on the drive, all of a sudden I panicked and I thought that we had put the frames perpendicular to the road, so we slowly stopped and I went to the back and I actually rotated it, and then we got back in the truck and we kept driving and I was trying to figure out, wait, did we put it in correctly? What way are the frames oriented? And I had messed it up, so we stopped again and then I turned it back. And we made it home eventually. So then that night, I moved the swarm trap onto a cement block in front of the umbrella hive, which is in our orchard, which was going to be its permanent home, and I opened the door. And that was it for the night. So then here we are the next morning. Now, this is me over here, and this is the umbrella hive over here. But as you can see, in between me and the umbrella hive is a small army of chickens who was not intending to let me pass unless I gave them some food. So, thankfully, I had some food with me. I actually feed my chickens raw meat that's barely expired that I get for free from the grocery store, and that's a whole other story. But I threw some meat for them, and I went up and I gave them some more food, including some soaked and fermented grains, and they were happy, and I was able to safely make it through the orchard without being overrun by chickens. Ah, and here comes my June Bubba. June Bubba. Hi, sweetie. She's warm today too from a very hot day. So clearly the bees were starting to explore, which was great. Now, when I first started, I was feeling confident and I didn't have my hood on, my veil, I guess, or my gloves, and I was just getting in there. So I went ahead and opened up the swarm trap, took a peek inside, and started moving the frames over into the umbrella hive after, of course, removing the frames from the umbrella hive to make room. And then it was right around here at the 4th frame that I started getting a little nervous because there were a lot of bees flying around. As a matter of fact, this was a pretty small swarm, but still, you know, dozens of bees. I didn't have any smoke, and so I went ahead and stepped away and put the hood on and put my gloves on. And it was a good thing because right after that, I started hearing them buzzing right to my face, and I was thankful to have put my hood on. So as I was transferring the frames into the umbrella hive, I was looking for the queen as I went, and they had already built out some beautiful comb, or they were starting to anyway. And then came my first sting. Yep, here it comes. Right through the leggings. So I decided after that to wear jeans, and as a matter of fact, I've still gotten stung through my jeans as well, as from the garden hive in particular, which you're going to learn more about in the next few weeks. But they are feisty, and they are smart, and they always go for my legs, so I need to start wearing an apron or something. So I actually made it through all the frames without spotting the queen, so I decided to go through one more time. And this was all happening relatively quickly because I was actually just about 15 or 20 minutes out from needing to teach one of my online Spanish classes. And so I really wanted to get the frames transferred over, but I had to kind of keep moving. So I was looking on the 6th frame, again for the queen, and then on the 5th frame, that's when I found her. There was some beautiful comb, and I finally spotted her. So I thought about making a picture or a still of this, but I was able to see her more easily looking back when it was just moving slow. You can kind of see her scurrying along, and she quickly hid under a bunch of bees, and so she kind of disappeared from sight, which is great. So she's good at hiding. So good job, queen. And then I went ahead and shook the rest of the bees out, which there weren't that many left, but I shook them out on top of the hive. I went ahead and made sure I opened up the rotating door for the hive and closed it up. I was also sure to get the lure out so that I could put the lure in the swarm trap that was going to be hung up next. So then, of course, I just transferred the hives that I took out of the umbrella hive into the swarm trap. And all the while, I'm trying to be careful of these peach branches, because this is going on our 3rd year of being here on this property in Missouri, moving from Colorado. I love it here, but we had 2 years of 0 peaches. It must have just been from a late frost, but our peach trees are covered in peaches this year, so I'm not really used to it, and I'm needing to bend over and watch out for them as I work in the orchard. Wonderful problem to have. So since then, you'll get an update in a couple weeks about how the hives have been doing, but overall they're all doing well, and this hive in particular is probably my weakest. It's probably my smallest, but they're just chugging along. They're still doing fine and building out pretty steadily, so you'll find out more about that in the next video. And as you can see, I may be just a little excited about catching my first swarm! Celebración! So there you have it. I made this pulley system to get the swarm traps down safely, and it worked! And my first caught swarm has been installed. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye. Hey, thanks so much for coming along. So many of you have been giving me awesome feedback in the comments and just have been so supportive as I'm endeavoring in this first year of beekeeping. So thanks so much. And if you like this video, if you could just like it down below, I'd appreciate it. Thanks. Bye.